A dog sits quietly on the living room floor. Its owner kneels down, smiling warmly. In a playful, exaggerated voice, they say, "Who's a good boy?" "Yes, you are." The dog's ears lift. Its tail begins to wag. Then slowly, it tilts its head. Eyes, focused, completely attentive. To most people, this moment feels simple, affectionate, even obvious. Your dog hears the praise and responds with happiness. But what if that's not what's actually happening? What if your dog isn't reacting to the words at all? Recent discoveries in animal psychology suggest something far more intriguing. Because when scientists began studying how dogs respond to human baby talk, they uncovered a surprising pattern, a pattern that may completely change how we understand communication with our pets. The question is no longer just what we say to dogs. The real question is, what do dogs actually hear when we speak like that? To investigate this mystery, researchers designed a simple experiment. Dogs were placed in a quiet testing room. Speakers were hidden behind walls. Cameras recorded every movement. In some studies, scientists even used non-invasive brain scanning techniques to observe neural activity. Then the researchers played 3 different types of voices. The first was ordinary adult conversation. Calm, neutral, normal speaking tone. The second voice was deliberately flat and robotic, monotone, emotionless, and the third voice, high-pitched, exaggerated, the unmistakable sound humans use when speaking to babies or pets. The moment the baby voice played, something remarkable happened. Dogs instantly turned their heads toward the speaker. Their ears sharpened, their bodies leaned forward. Some dogs even showed a slight increase in heart rate. But the most surprising discovery appeared inside the brain. Neural scans revealed that emotional excitement activated before the dogs processed the words themselves, which meant their reaction wasn't primarily about language. Something deeper had already captured their attention. But if dogs weren't responding to the words first, what exactly were they reacting to? Most dog owners assume something very straightforward. When they speak sweetly to their dog, the dog understands the message. Good boy. Who's a good girl? Such a smart dog. We imagine our pets recognize the praise in the sentence, but cognitive scientists studying canine communication suggest this assumption may not be entirely accurate. Dogs do not process language the way humans do. Human speech relies heavily on grammar and vocabulary. Dogs evolved differently. For them, communication has always been less about structured sentences and more about emotional signals, tone, rhythm, intensity, subtle vocal patterns that reveal intention. This means something surprising. Your dog might respond almost the same way if you say, "Who's a good boy?" or "You forgot to pay the electricity bill." As long as both sentences are delivered with the same warm, playful tone. To a dog, the emotional music of the voice often matters more than the words themselves. But if tone is so powerful, why does baby talk trigger such a strong reaction? The answer lies deep inside the evolutionary history of mammals. Behavioral scientists studying canine cognition discovered that dogs actually process human speech using 2 different systems. In the brain, one system analyzes emotional tone, the other recognizes familiar words. But these 2 systems don't activate at the same time. The emotional system responds first, always. Only after that initial, emotional signal does the brain begin interpreting vocabulary. This discovery was highlighted in a series of fascinating brain imaging studies led by researchers studying canine neural activity. When dogs heard human voices, the emotional regions of their brains lit up immediately, especially when the voice used exaggerated pitch and rhythm. In other words, baby talk. Why? Because this vocal pattern is not unique to humans. Across many mammal species, higher-pitched and melodic vocalizations are used when communicating with infants. These sounds naturally signal safety, affection, non-threatening intent. Over thousands of years of living alongside humans, dogs appear to have become highly sensitive to these signals. So when we speak to them like babies, their brains interpret it as something very specific, a social bonding cue, a signal that says, "You are safe here, you belong. But that discovery led scientists to another unexpected question. If baby talk is such a powerful signal, does every dog respond to it the same way? To explore this question, researchers conducted additional listening experiments. Dogs were played different recordings of human voices. Some used baby talk with random words. Others used baby talk combined with meaningful words like the dog's name or familiar commands. The results were striking. Dogs paid far more attention when baby talk contained words they already recognized. When the voice said something like, "Charlie, who's a good boy?" dogs reacted faster. They approached the speaker more often. They focused longer. But when baby talk included unfamiliar words, the response weakened. This suggests dogs combine two layers of information. First, the emotional signal in the tone. Then, the learned meaning of certain words. Together, these two signals create a powerful form of communication. But there was another twist. Researchers also noticed something else during long-term observations. When baby talk was used constantly, every moment, every interaction, its effect gradually faded. Dogs began to respond less dramatically. The brain had adapted. What was once exciting became ordinary, which means something interesting. Baby talk may work best not as background noise, but as a special signal, a moment of focused connection, and that might explain another behavior that has puzzled dog owners for generations, the mysterious head tilt. When humans speak to dogs, one curious reaction often appears. The dog slowly tilts its head to the side, sometimes left, sometimes right. It looks almost like confusion or curiosity. For years, people debated what this gesture meant, but recent behavioral studies offer a fascinating possibility. Head tilting may help dogs process communication more effectively. By tilting the head, a dog may improve its ability to pinpoint the direction of sound, but that may only be part of the story. Another theory suggests something more social. Dogs rely heavily on reading human facial expressions. Their ability to interpret human emotions is surprisingly sophisticated. When a dog tilts its head, it may actually be adjusting its visual perspective, allowing it to better see the human face while listening. In other words, your dog might be trying to gather multiple signals at once. Voice tone, facial expression, eye contact, body language. All of these signals combine to form meaning. So when you speak to your dog in that exaggerated baby voice, your dog may not simply be hearing words. They may be studying you, your mood, your intentions, your emotional state. They are trying to understand the relationship between you, and this leads to an important realization for every pet owner. Talking to your dog like a baby is often joked about. Some people see it as silly or unnecessary. But science suggests something different. That playful voice may actually strengthen the emotional bond between humans and dogs. It signals friendliness, safety, affection. But the most effective communication happens when tone and meaning work together. Dogs respond best when three elements align. First, the emotional tone must be clear and positive. Second, key words should remain consistent. Words like sit, good, or the dog's name become anchors of meaning over time. And third, praise should connect directly to behavior. When a dog performs an action and hears the same encouraging words repeatedly, those sounds begin to carry real meaning. Eventually, the dog learns that certain vocal patterns predict positive outcomes. Attention, reward, connection. In this way, communication between humans and dogs becomes something deeper than simple commands. It becomes a shared language built from emotion and experience. But perhaps the most fascinating part of this relationship isn't how dogs understand us. It's why they listen so closely in the first place. Imagine the quiet moment at the end of a long day. A dog rests beside its owner. The room is calm. The owner gently strokes the dog's head and whispers, "Good boy." The dog sighs softly and closes its eyes. To us, these words feel ordinary. Just another affectionate phrase. But inside the dog's mind, something else may be happening. The voice they hear is familiar, comforting, predictable, a signal that the person they trust most is near. Dogs may never fully understand the complexity of human language. They may never grasp every word we say. But perhaps they don't need to. Because the most important part of communication was never vocabulary. It was emotion, connection, the subtle signals that say, you are safe, you belong. And maybe that's why dogs listen so carefully when we speak to them, not because they are trying to understand every sentence, but because to them, our voice carries something far more meaningful. It carries us, our emotions, our intentions, our bond with them. So the next time you lean down and say in that playful voice, "Who's a good boy?" your dog may not understand every word, but they may understand something even deeper, and perhaps in their own quiet way, they've been understanding it all along.